Okay, so let's get started seeing how you can use Wekinator to build your own artificial intelligence model. So the first thing we're going to do is open Wekinator and get an idea of how that works. So I'm going to do that here on Mac, going into Launchpad and just typing in Wekinator. So I'm going to open my Wekinator app. You can see the first thing we have to do is fill out this little dialog here. So we've got OSC, that's how we sort of send messages back and forth between all the different types of things we're going to use. We have inputs and outputs, and this is sort of how that works. For our inputs here, I'll just click Start Listening. This is the default, that's fine. The next thing we want to know is what inputs do we want. So here the example we're going to use will be in processing. So I'll open up processing in Launchpad again, processing, and here it is. So in processing, I'm going to take a very simple example. The thing I want my AI to do using machine learning is to determine whether or not this picture that I have here is a pirate. So I'm going to run my processing sketch here using this play button, and then it'll, oops, this is the wrong one. I need to open and run. So here I have so I'm going to go into Finder here. I've got in my Finder folder. So I'm going to go to the correct folder. This is, in this case, FYS. This is, in this case, I need to go to my Wekinator Examples folder. Then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my input. So the input I'm going to use is in processing, and it's this logo input. I gotta rename that. So I'll go in and click that right here. So this will open this in processing, which I have open, and I'll click play to show it. So here it is. And I get this little screen. I've got my smiley face guy. I've got a nice Mount Union purple eye patch here. And the thing I want to teach the AI to do here is to determine whether my face here looks like a pirate or not. So if the eye patch is over the eye, that's a pirate, which is very dangerous. And if it's not, then it's completely fine and safe. So that's what I want to sort of teach the AI to do using Wekinator. So this is my input. I'm trying to decide pirate or not a pirate. We can, very easily see ourselves, pirate, not a pirate, pirate, not a pirate. It's pretty easy for us to see, but we need to teach the computer to do that as well. So to do that, we need to go in and set up Wekinator. So it looks like the way this works here is we're sending the position of this eye patch, the X and the Y coordinates, to Wekinator on that port 6448. And it's two inputs, it's X and Y, so two numbers are being sent. So that's the first setting we need to choose. Since it's two inputs here, we need to use two inputs here. Then for outputs here, in this case, the output that I want is just, is it a pirate or not a pirate? And so we'll talk about the different types of outputs you can have, but first off, how many outputs? It's just one. It's just an answer, pirate or not a pirate. And then the second thing is what type of thing do we want? It's not a continuous. That would be if we wanted, a number between 0 and 1 or something like that, a volume knob, that would be continuous. But here, since it's just a yes or no answer, it's a pirate or not a pirate. So that's a classifier. Anything where you have just, discrete options, cat, dog, pirate, person, is going to be a classifier here. So I'll click next to set up my project. And the way this works is that as opposed to coming up with sort of rules for how this works, we just need to feed Wekinator these examples here. And so the examples are, we want to tell it, okay, this you should recognize as a pirate, and this other thing you should recognize as not a pirate. And again, to translate it into the language of the computer here, we need one value here that means pirate and one value that means not a pirate. So I'm just going to arbitrarily say my outputs are right here. So this is my outputs. My inputs aren't seen, but they are there. If we wanted to check that they're there, we can use this inputs dialog, and that will show that we are actually seeing those inputs. So there's a lot of little windows to keep track of, but here they are. Input 1 is 313, input 2 is 129, and that matches what I see on the screen here. As I move this box, I see those inputs changing here. X left or right, that's changing X a lot, up and down, changing Y. And so that's what I'm going to do here, is just pick positions on here that are not a pirate and assign them an output of 1. So the way we do this is we start recording. And now I'm going to say any input that you get right now, you should assign as not a pirate. So I'll click start recording, and I'll just move this around and say, okay, all these things you should recognize as not a pirate. All the way around, none of this is a pirate. And then I'll click stop recording. It's a good idea not to record for too long, because otherwise it'll take longer to train your model. But that's the idea here. So that was not a pirate. Now we should give it some examples of pirate. So pirate I'm going to assign to 2. A 2 means pirate for the sake of the computer. So here, this is a pirate. Anything in here, I can jiggle it around a little bit. And similarly, if I'm covering that other eye, that's also a pirate. And now I've done that, I've determined, given it some examples, I'll train it, and that will let us see, okay, how well did it actually learn what we wanted it to do. So I'm going to detect whether it did what we want. I'm going to open the output. So the one output here is another processing sketch. So in processing here, I was in inputs before. I'm going to go back to the outputs folder. So in Wekinator Examples, and I'm going to go to Outputs, and this is in Processing again. And this one, I'll make it bigger here. The output I want to use is processing trigger text one classifier pirate. So this is one output. That's what the one classifier means. So it's one classifier output, and this is the one that says is it a pirate or not. So I'll open that and run it, and that'll bring me up another window here. And so here is our pirate detector here. So when it gets a signal, it will tell us whether we've got a pirate or not. So to send the message from Wekinator to the detector here, I've got my input. There's a lot going on here, but I've got my output over here. I've got my input. And to get started here, I'll just click run. That will use the model to determine is this a pirate or not. So that's what I'm building. So here, danger pirate. So when it's right over there, that's a pirate. Oh, not a pirate, that's good. Here, this is just someone with a weird eye patch somewhere else. Yep, danger pirate when I put it over this eye. And here in the middle here, this, I would say, yeah, it probably doesn't look like a pirate. This is just the eye patch sort of in the middle of the face here in a weird way. That shouldn't be a pirate. So this is sort of a mistake I made, or a mistake in the way it learned things. It just thinks, okay, anywhere in the middle of the face it would be a pirate. This looks more like a pig or something like that with its nose here. So I can go and I can fix what I made. I can stop and I can start making a training example. So right now it thought that this was a pirate. I'm going to go back in and say, no, actually with this right here should be not a pirate. So I'll call this 1. I'll call this not a pirate. And I'll start recording and say, okay, yeah, anywhere in here, this is definitely not a pirate. And now I can, once I've added those extra examples, I'll click train again. And then I'll start running. So now, not a pirate, not a pirate, not a pirate, 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 not a pirate. So that's just a really simple example model, but that really has all the sort of pieces that we need to get started. You can see that what we're doing here is really just giving it these examples. That's all that this is. It's all about the examples that we give it, and we're sort of teaching the computer to do what we want, as opposed to trying to program exactly which positions correspond to pirate and not pirate by mathematically setting up some conditions where we say, okay, depending on exactly what the x coordinate is, depending on exactly what the y coordinate is, we could do some sort of mathematical rules like that, but that's not the approach here. The idea is that a lot of times it can be a lot simpler to just feed it these examples and let it sort of figure this out on its own.